Zombies in Spaceland in Call of Duty Infinite Warfare is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, zombies maps in the Call of Duty games. And there's a ton of reasons why. I mean, I even own the mug, but it's just a really fun map. But today, that's not what we're talking about. Today, I want to talk about, would Spaceland have been any fun if it was a real theme park? So as I've played Zombies in Spaceland so many times, I started to think, if Spaceland was real, would it actually be any fun? Does it have fun rides? Does it have fun other attractions? And things like that. So that's what I'm going to be discussing today in this video. So first off, let me explain how I'm going to be rating Spaceland. So first, here's a map that you can find in the game of Spaceland. It's the one that you follow if you do the tour minigame and stuff like that. And now, here's my map. So I drew this myself. It's way simpler, but it will kind of give you an idea of how I'm going to be splitting Spaceland up, because I'm going to be splitting it up into different parts and then giving my overall assessment of each part. So first you have the entrance, which is where you start the game with. There's the ticket booths and everything like that, and that's where you spawn in. And then you go over the bridge thing into the Cosmic Way, which I think the entrance is technically part of the Cosmic Way in the game, but I kind of split them up here just because there's different stuff in each and I wanted to separate them. So that's where the Pack-a-Punch teleporter is and everything. To the left, which is where we're going to go first, is Journey into Space with the rocket ship and everything. Then the arcade, self-explanatory. Then Triton, which is the giant mountain with snow and everything. I actually didn't know that had a name until I looked at the map that I showed earlier. Then to the right of that, to the upper right, you have all the water rides. That's where there's all those little water blasters that shoot up into the air. And then below that is the Kepler system, where the alligator and everything is. So that's going to be how I'm splitting the map up to review it. And let me also add, I'm going to be discussing things as though it's a real-life theme park. And there's going to be things that are, hinted at how the park would work in real life as compared to the game, so I'm going to be taking those into account, and I'll explain those when I come across them. Starting with the entrance, two of the more prominent things you'll see here are the gift shops on each side of the entrance area. They're both just souvenir shops if you look inside of them. That's kind of nice. I mean, souvenir shops at a theme park are always nice because you can get, souvenirs and stuff and things that are exclusive to the park. But at the same point, they also aren't that great because it's just another thing you have to spend money on. And they might not necessarily have anything you want. The stuff in there might be overpriced. So those are definitely nice, but they're not exactly an attraction. Alongside the souvenir shops, there's also some snack vendors, which is always nice because then you can get some snacks while you're wandering around the park. And there's snack vendors throughout the park, actually. There's these little snack things, and they sell different stuff. There's some that sell ice cream, there's some that sell popcorn and hot dogs and things like that. Those are always a plus, and something I've always noticed about every theme park I've ever been to is that the food is usually pretty good, so I would assume the same for Spaceland, that the food would be pretty good. You can see the prices, and they don't seem that bad. I don't think. And speaking of food, you've also got the Up and Atom candy machine, and I would think that all of the candy perks that you can find throughout Spaceland would probably be good. I would think they'd maybe be exclusive to the park, although they are in other maps. So given that they give you powers in the game, though, I think you'd probably assume that in normal life they would be pretty good. And then you've also got the Lost and Found in the ticket booths, which are nice. It's always nice to have a Lost and Found in a park. I've never actually lost anything in a theme park, but I know plenty of people do, and so that's always a good thing. The ticket booths, they aren't necessarily important, but they show us something important about the park, and that's that you have to pay admission into the park. So, I mean, I don't know if there's any sort of theme parks that don't have an admission and then have rides that you have to pay to get on individually, but that's how a lot of fairs work. You can go in for free into the fairground, and then each ride costs money, or you have to buy tickets or whatever. But it's clear that Spaceland has an admission fee, and you can also see that indicated by how there's a hand stamp system that's written on the turnstiles. So if you leave the park and you ask for a stamp and you get one, you can come back in later that day or however long for free because you've already paid entrance once. And then the last part of the entrance is the like bridge into actual Spaceland, into the Cosmic Way. Not really anything special to see here. It's just a nice looking bridge. It's cool how it curves over itself, but it's really just utility more than anything. It's not anything special about it. So in conclusion though, there's not really anything too special going on in the entrance area. You know, you have the gift shops, the ticket booths, and the lost and found, but overall there's not really anything too useful or too crazy that's gonna like blow you away unless you absolutely love Up and Atom candy. But you can learn one pretty important fact about the park here, which is that there's an admission fee, but that there's a hand stamp system, which is actually a pretty big plus. I haven't seen many parks lately who have a sort of system like that. It's kind of, a lot of the time you leave, you're done for the day. So that's a big plus for Spaceland right there, is the hand stamp thing. But overall, the entrance plaza itself, not really anything super special there. So next we're going to go into the Cosmic Way. There's a few of the same things here as you would have seen in the entrance, like some more gift shops and some more food carts. And given that there's 2 more gift shops here and we already saw 2 in the entrance, you can kind of start to see that there's a little bit of an oversaturation of gift shops in Spaceland. There's also some more food options in the Cosmic Way, which is nice. There's an ice cream shop and like a cake quote-unquote store type place that seems like it probably sells like fudge and chocolate and stuff like that. So that's nice, but again, it's still just more places to shop, really. However, we finally get to see some of the cool attractions of the park in the Cosmic Way. So for one, you have the souvenir coin machine, which is really, really unique. And if this was like a real thing in real life that a park did, it would be really cool. But you have the machine where you can put the coin in and get prizes out of, which I mean, you kill zombies in the game to get the coins, but if Spaceland was a real park, that would probably be the sort of thing like a scavenger hunt, which is really cool, and those sort of things are always fun, especially if you can get prizes, and that it would likely be free. So that's a really cool thing. And you've also got Neil the robot. Now, Neil is kind of interesting. I guess in a real life scenario, he would probably still give out challenges, but like more, family-friendly challenges, not involving killing things. So it would probably be like one of these things like ride all the rides in the park or whatever and you'll get tickets. He would probably still do tickets because tickets are a major thing in Spaceland, and I'm going to talk about that more when I get to the arcade. But Neil is a pretty cool little dude, and he's a robot. In general, it's just a cool little character and a nice... I guess Neil is an attraction in the park. And then probably the coolest thing in the Cosmic Way, the teleporter. In the game, the teleporters, you guys know, if you're in a part of the park, you can go through it and it'll bring you back to the Cosmic Way. And if you have all of them linked up and then you go to the one in the Cosmic Way, you can go to the projector room and pack a punch your weapons. In real life, I really don't know how this will work. I mean, I know that there's gimmicks like this that already exist at like the really, really fancy theme parks like Disney and stuff. So, I mean, I'm sure that a teleporter thing like this could be real. I don't know how they do it, but it would be some sort of way that a theme park could figure out, I can guarantee. But in real life, I think that the teleporters would probably have a little bit of a different function. I think that you would probably be able to pick where you'd want to go from each teleporter to another teleporter, especially the one in the center, because obviously if the park was real, you're not going to go to some random film room if you go through it. So I think that the teleporters would probably be just like a quick way to get around the park, which is not only useful, but the way they would do it where you'd be getting teleported, or at least thinking you're getting teleported somewhere else, would be really, really cool to experience. And I think that would attract a lot of people. The only problem I have with this is there's no clear line structure to any of the teleporters, so it could probably be a little bit of a pain to actually use if the park was busy and it was just like a mess of people near it. So in the Cosmic Way, you can finally find some of the attractions of the park, like the teleporter, and some of the activities like the stuff the challenges Neil gives out, and the souvenir coin machines. However, again, there's still not any rides or anything yet that we've come across, and we've already come across 4 stores and 2 places to buy food, and countless food carts, along with a caricature stand, which probably costs money. So there's already just been a ton of stuff you would have to spend extra money on. before even getting to any rides or anything. So there's some cool stuff, but there's also a little bit of a clump of things that would cost extra money before you even get to anything in the park, really, which kind of sucks. So for our first venture into an area with any rides or anything, we're going to take a left into Journey into Space. Now, before I start talking about Journey into Space, I want to clarify, the arcade is in Journey into Space, but I split Journey into Space in kind of half because there's so much stuff in this area that I'm going to cover half of it here and then kind of discuss that section and then the other half like around the arcade. So there's stuff outside of the arcade that I'm going to be talking about too. But for Journey into Space, so you take a left, you're in the Spaceland, and there's a lot of stuff here, like I said. So for one of the first things you'll see is a movie theater. I was going to look back at my footage and tell you guys the name of it, but my footage isn't wanting to load for me right now, but you guys will be able to see it. So a movie theater is kind of a unique thing to have in a theme park. I've actually never seen a theme park do anything like that unless it's like a specific show, like, you know, Universal Studios has the Terminator show and stuff like that. But this seems to be just a normal movie theater, which is cool, but at the same time, why would you pay the admission fee to pay another fee to see a movie, probably, unless the movies are free, but I doubt that. You've also got Galaxy Journey right nearby, which is just another store, so not really anything special to say about that. Although there is a cool display between the Cosmic Cinema and the Galaxy Journey store. And then, again, nearby, you also have the Lunar Terrace, which is kind of, it's hard to tell what this is at first, but if you look inside, you'll actually see like a chalkboard with a menu on it, so it seems to be a restaurant, even though you can't actually see really anything that resembles a restaurant from what you can see outside. But this definitely seems to be another restaurant, which is nice, and like an actual legitimate restaurant too, unlike the like candy booths that were outside in the Cosmic Way. And the DJ booth is also nearby. There's a ton of crap right in like a small area here, but you've got one of the DJ booths, which, let me explain real quick. In the game, if you don't know, the DJ booths are, you can find David Hasselhoff, he's the DJ in this level, and you can give him different parts and he'll build things for you, and it's really important for the Easter egg in this map. But thinking about it realistically, it's really cool that they have like an actual DJ booth and music playing throughout the park. I think that's really cool. I mean, a lot of theme parks do that sort of thing, but it's just a really nice thing because then it gives you something to listen to. And it also kind of makes me wonder in some ways if there's a radio station out of the theme park, but I don't think so because there's not really any obvious transmitters or anything. And I don't really know how well a radio station based out of a theme park would do because you would still hear stuff like the advertisements by Hasselhoff and stuff. And I could also go into all the stuff I did in the Burnout video about radio stations and how it doesn't fit into the FCC guidelines or whatever, but people get angry at me when I talk about that. You've also got a Moonshakes booth, which is another, I guess not really food, but like drink booth. Milkshakes and stuff, I'm assuming, maybe ice cream, things like that. And on the way there's another teleporter. But that pretty much brings us to the end of anything besides rides. You've probably noticed that I haven't brought up anything besides like businesses so far, and I've been saving rides for last because I want to spend, I guess, the most time explaining them. There's not really a whole lot to explain for either of them, though. For the first ride in Journey into Space, you've got Escape Velocity, which is just one of those rides that kind of spins you. It looks like little rocket ships. It spins around really, really fast, and it makes you dizzy or whatever. I've been on rides like this plenty of times in real life. They're fun. This one's a little bit weirdly shaped. I don't think I've ever been in one where like a person sits in the front and a person sits in the back, because that's how it kind of looks like you would end up sitting in it, which I guess would actually be kind of nice because then it wouldn't be so awkward if you didn't have anybody to ride with. You wouldn't have to be like next to a stranger. But it looks like fun, I guess. I mean, that's not particularly my type of ride, but I know that there's plenty of people who love that sort of stuff. And then lastly, you've got Star Mission. Now, looking back at it again, I don't actually know if this is a ride or just a display, because when you activate this, because it's also a trap in the game, it bursts out a bunch of fire like a rocket ship is taking off, which clearly isn't like, you're not going to want people to be near that, but that might be one of those things that's like zombified for zombies, that's not like how it would actually be in person. So I kind of think if Star Mission is a ride of any sort, it might be one of those ones with like a TV screen but the fixed carts. And I don't really know, because this map takes place during the 80s, I don't really know how prevalent rides like that would have been in the 80s, but I know like now at some of the major theme parks, Universal, Disney and stuff, this is how they do a ton of rides. And I mean, they're okay, but they're not as fun as the like real roller coasters. But that's what I think Star Mission would be, because it looks like it would be inside of that spaceship or inside of that building that it's attached to. So, I mean, that's kind of fun, but not the most fun ride ever. So overall, in the Journey into Space section, there's like stuff to do, which is nice. Compared to the Cosmic Way and the entrance, there's actual rides and things to do here. However, there is only 2 rides, and one of them I'm not even sure if it is a ride, and even if it is, it's probably one of those like virtual rides. I wouldn't say virtual reality, because that wasn't really a thing in the 80s so much. But there's definitely like stuff to do in this section, which is nice. And the food in the theater are nice additions. However, that's another thing, again, like I've said before, you've already paid the entrance fee. You're going to have to spend more money to use either of those, which kind of sucks. But given that theme parks usually have pretty good food, and that the movie theater would probably have like really nice screens and stuff, not your worst option for things to do in Spaceland. So I'd say that this section of Spaceland gets a good You know, it's not too great, but it's not awful. It looks like it would be some fun. Next, we're going to be looking at the arcade and the stuff directly outside of the arcade. So first, starting outside of the arcade, you've got the bumper cars, which bumper cars can be fun. It's kind of a hard thing to decide whether or not bumper cars would actually be like a fun attraction at Spaceland. I feel like they're always at every theme park, but that you never see people actually like playing with them. So it's kind of hard to have fun with bumper cars unless you bring along friends. And even still, it's kind of awkward when you're in bumper cars and you have to like hit a stranger. I don't know. Bumper cars can be fun, but it's kind of, unless you've got like a group with you, I feel like it's kind of hard to have fun with bumper cars. And then again, you've got another shop right next to the arcade, just kind of like the other ones that we saw earlier on, sells souvenirs and stuff. Not really anything too special there. And at the end of that little alleyway, you've got Blue Bolts, the perk candy, which, like I said, you can assume perk candies would taste good, I guess, because they give you superpowers, but who knows. Also, I almost forgot to put this in before talking about the arcade, like the inside of the arcade, but there's these little kiosks, and this is just the one that I happen to remember to get footage of, but there's these little kiosks where you can get like prizes with the tickets that you earn in the arcade and from Neil, which is pretty cool because I've never really seen anything like that where there's like a ticket system throughout an entire park, which I'll probably talk about tickets more once I get into the arcade, but I just thought that was interesting how you can buy things with tickets even outside of the arcade. So there's a lot to talk about inside of the arcade, or the Astrocade as the signage indicates, but it's pretty much set up like a normal arcade like you would expect. There's games, you can win tickets from the games. But there's a few things we can kind of learn about Spaceland in general here from the arcade. So for one, like I just talked about, there's that ticket system where you can win tickets not only in the arcade but also from Neil. And not only can you buy things in the arcade with them, but you can get all sorts of stuff outside and around the park with them, which is really cool. And I think it really adds a lot to Spaceland as a park, because it would make it almost like a big scavenger hunt that's always going on, even though that's really more of the coins. But you guys get what I mean. And speaking of buying things with the tickets, you can get a bunch of cool stuff in the actual arcade with the tickets. There's the stuff behind the counter. I don't really know what the real world equivalent of some of the stuff would be. Like, obviously you wouldn't be able to buy ammo in a real arcade, but I think that you could probably see something like the Forge Freeze as like a toy gun or something. You know, you could win stuff like that. The only thing with arcades is that usually the price of prizes is kind of overinflated with tickets. I mean, I was just at an arcade like 2 weeks ago, and they had, you know, I played for a while. I spent probably $15 in the arcade, and in the end I ended up with 1,000 points. And the only thing I could actually get from the prize booth with that was like a keychain, like a cheap little keychain, or like some candy and stuff. So I don't really know. It's kind of hard to tell if the Spaceland arcade at the Astrocade would be like kind of a scammy arcade like usual, because you don't really know what the equivalent of the stuff they're selling would be in an actual arcade, like if it would just be like cheap toys stuff or what it would be. There's also a dance floor in the Astrocade, which is kind of interesting. I don't really know, like, of any theme parks that do anything like that, really having, like, a dance club inside of the park, I guess. Like, I don't. The thing is, you pay for admission into Spaceland to do some stuff that you could probably do for free or cheaper outside of Spaceland. So, like, the dance floor is a cool idea, and, you know, it's the 80s in this map, so, like, everybody dances all the time, apparently. But at the same point, why would you choose to go to Spaceland to do that? But it's an arcade, so let's talk about the games finally. So there's a bunch of games in the Astro Arcade. You've got all the normal stuff that you would expect, like skee ball and that kind of stuff, and that's where you win tickets. And then the other games are arcade games that are actually old Activision games. If you guys don't know that, it's like a bunch of games that Activision used to make for, I don't know, the Atari and stuff like that. The thing is, the arcade games, they seem like out of date, and I mean, I don't really know what level of arcade games you would have had in the 80s because, again, I wasn't alive then. But I don't know how much fun these arcade games would be to play, like, in the arcade. And plus, they don't actually give you tickets. So far as I can tell, none of the actual arcade, like, video games give you any tickets, which is that's the thing that sucks in real life, too, is when you can't get any tickets from arcade games. But none of those give you any tickets. So, like, what's the point, I guess, in playing them? Plus, in the actual game, you can't really play them because you have zombies chasing you. So if you play solo like I do, you can't actually play any of the arcade games really because zombies will come over and whack you. However, skee ball and other games like that, the physical games like the water gun fight and stuff, those should be fun. I mean, they are always fun at arcades. But something I noticed while I was looking at the games is that there's token machines around in the arcade, which means that even though the games are free when you play them in the Spaceland Zombies map, if it were a real arcade, it would cost money. So not only do you have to pay admission to the park and all that stuff, but you've got to pay for games in the arcade, which is a thing that sucks at every theme park. It, like, you know, you already paid admission, now you got to pay to play the arcade games. But yeah, I mean, given that, like, they're free when you're playing the Spaceland map, I thought maybe there's a possibility that it would be like a free arcade. I don't really know how likely that would be, but the token machines kind of prove me wrong on that. So that's the Astrocade and surrounding stuff. The bumper cars look okay. The gift shop is just another gift shop. The arcade could be fun, but again, it kind of sucks because you have to pay money to play the arcade games after already paying for admission to the park and paying to do, you know, souvenir shopping or a bunch of other stuff like that. So you got to spend a lot of money if you go to Spaceland, is something that I'm starting to pick up on. Okay, so now on to Triton, and thank goodness there's not a lot of stuff in Triton. Not to, like, break in the action here, but this video is taking me so long to make because it takes me so long to edit this audio together and stuff because I have to cut out, like, me saying 600 times. But anyway, so Triton is the big mountain in pretty much the center of the map. It's actually all one big ride, even though there's a gift shop in it. If you look at the ground when you go in, you see arrows that lead you to the ride, and it's kind of one of those things where after you get off the ride, that's when you would go to the gift shop. So this is actually one of the few, if not the only ride in Spaceland that you can ride. It's pretty fun. It looks like it would be fun. It's one of those roller coasters where you shoot stuff. I've been on the Men in Black one at Universal before. I don't know if they actually still have that ride or not, but it was fun, so kind of a similar concept there. These kind of rides are fun. This one looks like it would be pretty cool. It has some pretty cool, like when you go outside of the actual mountain and stuff and you can kind of see the park. That's really nice. I bet that would be a nice view if Spaceland was real and everything. So I think this ride would be pretty just like fun in general. You also win tickets from it, which is awesome. Kind of shows the economy of tickets in Spaceland a little bit further too. And then once you get off the actual roller coaster, you're kind of almost shuffled into a store. A lot of roller coasters in real life do this, where they kind of bring you into a store at the end. Just really not much special to say about the store inside of Triton. It's just another one of the stores in Spaceland. You can exit back to the center of the park, back to the, like, Cosmic Way, or you can actually go to the water park, which is where we're going to talk about next. I think that that's a door that you could use to get to the water park. I don't know, it's kind of hard in Spaceland sometimes to tell which areas would have been employees only and which ones wouldn't have been. And yes, I know, speaking of employees only, that I haven't talked about the employees section at all in this video, and I probably won't, because if you were just a normal person going to the Spaceland theme park, you really wouldn't see that area, so there's no use in covering it. And also, since this is where the mystery wheel spawned, I'm going to talk about it here, but the mystery wheel in the game that I recorded this footage for spawned in Triton. The mystery wheel, I have not really any idea what the equivalent in person would be. Maybe like, I don't know, a wheel where you could win, you spin it and you win a prize, and they would probably have an attendant there to make sure people didn't spin it like 8 times in a day or whatever. Not anything too crazy, just another one of the attractions. Probably another way to get something cool though, and I'm assuming it would maybe be free. I don't know, because it costs points in the game, but this sort of stuff is usually free at actual parks. That kind of like show sort of thing. So yeah, Triton as a total though, not a whole lot to see here because it is just one ride. I think it would be a really fun ride though. I think that would be one of the better things in Spaceland. Also, you could probably ride it a bunch of different times and get tickets, so it's one of the free ways to get tickets in the park without playing games, which is cool and another way to get prizes and stuff. And I mean, in general, it just looks like it would be a fun ride. The gift shop at the end is a little bit of a cheap move, but not really much I can say about that. A lot of theme parks do that. Alright, finally, only 2 places left to talk about, thank goodness, because, oh my god, you guys, like I said, I've been working on this video for, like, way longer than it'll seem. But anyway, yeah, so the water parks, let's talk about the water parks. Really not much here to see either. Like Triton, it's some water rides, and a slide, so I guess, well, there's one ride you can't get on, and it's, like, the like luge thing, the water, like the log ride. It's got the big like boats and you go down in the water. And I've rode on these before and they're fun, but the problem with water parks in general inside of like a normal theme park is that if you get wet, then it's going to be like you're going to be soaked, and it's not comfortable to be soaked when you're trying to wander around the park. So that's kind of the main problem I have with this water park area. And I'll get more into it at the end. But so you've got that ride, which pretty much just like a log jam on a bigger scale. Not really much to see there. It seems kind of simple unless there's anything like inside. But then again, a lot of those kinds of rides are pretty simple. So I mean, fun if you're into that kind of thing. You've also got like a sprinkler park, which is I've seen these before. I don't really know if it's a ride itself. I feel like I always see these in the kids sections at theme parks. Like always like near the kiddie pools and stuff. I don't know if that would be a fun thing to be in unless it's just a really hot day. So it kind of depends on your opinion of the whole thing, really, if you enjoy those or not. Again, I also don't really understand why the one candy machine is right next to the water sprinklers, because you would think that like it would get wet and ruined. And the only other thing in this water park area is the slide. The slides are great. I mean, they're a lot of fun. That would probably be the most fun thing there, because you wouldn't have to worry about getting wet and then being soaked for the rest of the day if you didn't bring like a bathing suit with you or whatever. So that's pretty fun. It also lets you get easily back to the Cosmic Way, and I'm assuming you could probably walk up those steps to get right into the water park too, that are at the bottom, like, but you can't actually access them in the game. But yeah, overall the water park, it's okay. Like I said, the problem with water parks inside of bigger theme parks is that if you go to it, or like if you don't bring a swimsuit, which the thing is Spaceland is there's only like 2 actual water rides, so what's the point in bringing a swimsuit? It's just kind of really weird for them to have water rides in Spaceland, because if you get wet, then you gotta slosh around the rest of the day. But I don't know, I feel like people might enjoy it, but I also don't really see the point in it. So I guess like you could see my conclusion about this area as being, it would be enjoyable for some people maybe, but I just don't really understand why the park has it. And finally, the last part of Spaceland that I have to talk about, the Kepler system. I'm going to try to remember everything that's here, but it's been like a while since I actually played Zombies in Spaceland to record that footage, and there's like quite a few things in the Kepler system. So let's see how this goes. If I forget things, yell at me in the comments. You've got one ride in this section of the park. It's called the Chromosphere. It looks to be one of those rides that spins around really quick and like sticks you to the wall. Some people love these things. I can't stand them. I went on one time at a fair, and I was dizzy for like 3 days after that. I mean, they're a cool concept, but in practice, oh boy, they are a little bit too much for me. But I know that some people really love them, so that's again a personal opinion thing. In the Kepler system, you also have the giant crocodile. I gotta be honest with you guys, I have no idea what the heck this thing would actually do in an actual theme park, because it closes, right? You know, and that you would think that would maybe just be like an attraction sort of thing, you know, to look at. But you can walk under it, but it also closes. So, I mean, clearly in a real theme park, you wouldn't have something that closes like that, because it would hurt people. I mean, it kills the zombies and can kill you if you're playing the game. So I really have no idea what that would actually be. If it was like some sort of fancy door, because there's the door where like part of the Easter egg on the inside of it, maybe that would be kind of cool. If it's like the exit to a ride or something that like opens up when the rides are done. I have no idea. I really don't. So I really don't even know what to say about it. As for food in the Kepler system, you have the Moonlight Cafe. Just a little cafe. It's outdoor. Serves food and drinks and stuff. Really nothing special. Again, you could probably go by the whole rule I kind of said earlier that theme parks tend to have pretty good food. So that's probably a plus. The only thing about the Moonlight Cafe is that it serves alcohol, which can be a problem in a theme park because if you've got drunk people wandering around, that's going to be a pain. Personally, I can't stand alcohol and drunk people. I go to college. You guys probably already know that. I've already carried people back to their room before. It's not fun. So I don't know. I feel like the Moonlight Cafe might have okay food, but I think it is kind of odd that they serve alcohol like that. And you might think that I'm overreacting, but I've been to theme parks before where I'm pretty sure I've seen drunk people and stuff. And it's just not good for the park because then the security has to deal with them or whatever. And a lot of times drunk people like get in the way and bother other people. So just serving alcohol in the park is just like a very bad idea, I think. And I guess there's not really a lot else to say about the Kepler system. I actually looked at the footage again and that was really all that there was to it. So I guess final conclusion for this area, it's not bad. Although come to think of it, the alcohol and the chromosphere combined really might serve up a heaping of a mess. So the chromosphere, like I said, not my type of ride, but I do know like a ton of people who love that type of thing. So that's a plus because a lot of people like that sort of ride. The Moonlight Cafe is good for food, but alcohol, never a good idea at a theme park. And then the crocodile, I have no idea what's going on there. So I'll leave that up to you guys. So I'm gonna be honest with you guys. This video, I've already said it a few times in some of the other clips, has taken me an extended period to do. It's taken me about a month to actually finally record everything, and it'll probably take me even longer to edit all this together, because I gotta do that after I'm done with this. I went on some trips and stuff, like as I was recording audio for this, and like recording gameplay and stuff for this. So I don't even really remember what I said about all the different sections of the park, so I'm gonna just kind of break it down as I remember it. Spaceland, is it a fun park? Maybe. The problem with Spaceland that I've noticed is that you have to spend a lot of money to have fun at this park. Because you have to pay admission, then there's a bunch of other stuff you have to pay for, like food, and there's gift shops everywhere. So there's a ton of gift shops, there's a bunch of places for food, the arcades you have to spend money on, and then just other stuff throughout the park too. Like I said, if the mystery wheel was some sort of attraction, you probably would have had to spend money on it because you have to spend money on it when you're playing the actual game. So there's just a ton of stuff that you have to like spend money on to use here. A lot of the stuff in the park does seem like fun, but just the fact that money, that's a pain. You gotta spend a lot of money. And also, the park is kind of small when I thought about it, and I don't really know where the park is. See, there's not actually a hint of where Spaceland actually is, other than if you're on Triton and you look out, you can kind of see a city not too far in the distance. And I kind of almost want to think that Spaceland is in the desert because there's nothing there. You don't see a forest or anything. It just kind of looks like it's out in the middle of nowhere. And we already know that Attack of the Radioactive thing takes place in California. So I could almost picture this level taking place around the same area, just at a later time. So there's just a lot of variables here that I don't really know if I can get into. But overall, rides and souvenir in like just attraction wise, yeah, Spaceland would probably be fun to visit every now and again, but it's definitely not the type of theme park that you would see me at like every month. It would be fun to go to every now and again, but just the amount of money that I would probably end up having to spend to have any fun there would kind of make it hard to want to go. And plus, after you have souvenirs and stuff from one visit, what's the point in going back again and again? But anyway, thank you for watching. I promise I have ideas for more videos. I've just been very busy. Even though it's summer and I'm not in classes at college or anything, I'm still super busy with stuff. But anyway, yeah, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, do all the fancy crap. And we'll see you in future videos.